Hello guys, and welcome to episode number 204 of the Next Gen Basecast. I am your host Ben, and I'm joined this week by Mr. Gary Clark. How you doing, my good man?
I'm good, apart from being very warm.
Yep.
Apart from that, I'm fine.
Yeah, it's an unusually warm 29, 30 degrees in the UK at the minute. So yeah, also joined by Mr. Aaron Sullivan, taking advantage of the weather in a very fine vest, my man. How you doing?
That was good, sir. Yeah, it's way too hot to be wearing anything. I mean, if I could get away with just being topless, I would. So, it is what it is.
We might
not
get
looking
flagged.
forward to tomorrow. It's going to be 32 degrees, apparently, tomorrow.
Oh, mate.
I mean, I know if anybody's in America or anything listening to this, like, oh, what are you talking about? 32 degrees? But for us Brits, it's kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm due to be in London over the weekend as well. So like, basically, it's gone from like, I think it's like 29, 30 degrees tomorrow, and then another warm day on Saturday, and then on Sunday it's just going to piss it down. So I'm like, brilliant! I now need to take 2 fucking suitcases with me. So anyway, yeah, always a pleasure. So I'll start, as we always do, with what we've been playing this week. Aaron, what you been on with?
You'll be very happy with me this week.
Oh, okay.
I even though I already kind of had it on Game Pass, but because I don't have a functional GPU at the moment, I've not been able to play it. So I repurchased it, or purchased it for the first time on PS5, and I've been playing the Hitman Trilogy.
Good man.
Well, I'm at the beginning, obviously. I'm at Hitman 1, but yeah,
man.
I mean, everybody said how great it is already. I don't need to regale everybody. It's a solid ass title, and it's fun, and it's everything Hitman should be, and I'm completely satisfied.
Yep.
I know people are probably not used to me saying that I'm happy with that game, but it's that good.
Yeah, man, it's quality. I believe, and do you have an Xbox?
I do not.
Okay, I was going to say, because if you had a Series X, I was going to say you didn't need to buy it because it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, I didn't, because I wasn't expecting my PC to blow up in a time when it was hard to get hold of GPUs. I didn't buy an Xbox, but it might have saved me if I had one.
Yeah. No, it's. I mean, my love for Hitman is well known. Like, I fucking love that series. I actually did start replaying it a little bit on Series X a while ago, because obviously it went on Game Pass, and I was like, well, I could probably do with starting the challenges over and getting stuff sorted like that. But yeah, I mean, how far in are you? Are you just kind of taking your time with the levels, or?
Yeah, I'm just thinking. So, like, again, I'm kind of a completionist to my own fault. So, like, I'm not that far, because I just keep going back and doing all the extras. There's so much content.
Yep.
For each individual level, you just keep on going back and doing it in different ways and doing different challenges, and then the challenges progress and get harder, and it's just so much content.
Yeah. I mean, I think that when you start playing the trilogy, like, the first 2 or 3 missions, like, I mean, Paris and Sapienza are still, I think, 2 of my favorite maps in the whole trilogy, and they're the first 2 that you get. I don't know whether that's because, like, it's the time I've had the longest with them, but at this point, like, I've kind of had most of them for forever. But like, yeah, I don't think there's, aside from, I think it's Colorado is the one where, like, it's basically there's no hiding places in it. It's like a proper military fortress. That's the only one that I could say is a bad map. But everything else in that game is just really good. Like, even the DLC missions that they've done, I think they did, like, it's called like Haven Island, and they did a bank mission as well for Hitman 2. For Hitman 2, which, like, it's just all brilliant. And like you say, the mechanics work well together. You kind of learn the routes. You study everything like clockwork, and then when you get that perfect kill, it's really satisfying, isn't it?
Very satisfying.
Absolutely.
Top-notch game. 9 out of 10, and I haven't even finished it yet.
There you go. But yeah, they stuck by. They put far too much content out for that game than they needed to. Like, they kind of, I think the way that they handled the upgrades and stuff as well. Like, if you owned Hitman, you could get those maps in Hitman 2, and then you could get all of the maps in Hitman 3 without needing to pay for stuff if you already own the games. It's just like the way that they've done it. And also, I think the thing that amazed me was that even like the engine upgrades that they did, like obviously some of the things might have been broken, but if you're playing the Hitman Trilogy, as it's called now, or if you're playing the Hitman levels in Hitman 3, stuff like working mirrors is now a thing. Whereas when the game came out, like you could sneak up behind somebody who's looking in a mirror and they wouldn't notice you behind them.
I didn't notice they had actually edited some of the levels, even like small things that not necessarily broken. So I remember playing like the first intro missions on PC, and like playing it again now on PS5 in the Hitman 3 engine. There's like shrubbery in places and things that weren't there before. Like they've actually rejigged to make it a more satisfying experience overall. So you can, if you're doing it from scratch, I guess, you just get the primo experience. So
fantastic support for that game, and I'm very excited to see what they do with the Bond license, because obviously they announced they're working on that a while ago. But yeah, so have you mainly been sort of hammering the Hitman Trilogy and nothing else? Or?
When I'm not boiling and lying in my own sweat, then basically just Hitman.
Fair enough. No, good way to spend your time, that game. Gary, what about yourself?
Well, I have Hitman downloaded. I still haven't played it yet. I'm sorry, Ben.
Get out.
I downloaded it ages ago as well. I believe I downloaded it from Game Pass. I believe. Yeah, I need to sit down and play that. But I've been playing a bit more Jedi Fallen Order. A bit like Aaron though. Like I'm struggling at the moment to play games because it's just so warm. And I can't sort of concentrate with it. But I've put another sort of 2 hours roughly into that lately. So I'm getting there. I think, if I had to guess, I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through.
Okay.
So I'm getting there. Like I sort of mentioned previously, I originally went on it, didn't really enjoy it, and now I've gone back to it because obviously it's on Game Pass or whatever. So I'm really enjoying it. It's great. Don't really have to sort of go into too much with it because we've sort of been over it before. But yeah, I'm still enjoying my time with it. But once it cools down a bit, I will dive back into it fully. And yeah, I need to get it done. So before the new one comes out, is that got a date? Is it 2023? I believe.
I think they said it's next year.
Yeah. So I got time, but yeah. So I'm just I've been enjoying that, and that's really it at the moment, to be honest. Sort of bit of a lull in sort of games at the moment where there's nothing I really want to play. I've got a massive back catalogue, but yeah, once I've done Jedi Fallen Order, then I can potentially go back to them. So
cool. Well, it's funny you should say that because I have also basically been playing Jedi Fallen Order this week. Because like, I think we said a couple of weeks ago, I did what you did. I kind of played it a little bit, bounced off it, and didn't really go back to it. But with it, being on Game Pass, I thought, sod it, I'll give it a try. And I kind of got past the point I was at before. I didn't where I got to before, but basically I've just done the second temple.
Okay.
With the big spire that comes out of the ground. I've just done that as of last night. So yeah, I'm sort of taking my time with it, doing quite a bit of exploration. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it now. I think possibly because of my experience playing Elden Ring, it's probably gotten me attuned a little bit to some of the combat. Because I think that was one thing that
makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that annoyed me a little bit the first time round because I wasn't really locking onto targets and stuff, and when I did, it felt a bit loose. But I've gone back to it now. Are you playing it? You say you're playing it on Series X.
Yeah.
How have you found the performance of it? Because I know it had a patch for the Series X and S.
Yeah. It's not perfect, I'll put it like that. So I think I shared it in the chat like a couple of months back. So I can't remember the planet it was, but I was just playing it and everything, like all the sort of assets were sort of like flickering and jumping about. And yeah, I've had sort of weird stuff like that. With regards to sort of frame rate, I haven't really seen any issues per se. Okay. It's just mainly been like, yeah, just sort of assets loading in the wrong places or doing weird things. Okay. Have you had issues with it then?
Well, I've had weird moments where like it's almost like it's streaming from an old hard drive, like the textures and stuff. Because like if you're going down like the bits where you're sliding down into a new area, sometimes when you go into that new area, like it just hitches for like half a second or so. And I've put it in performance mode, which is a smooth 60, but it's just those moments when like sometimes, even if I'm trying to make a jump, like sometimes the game will just hang for like half a second, and then I'll miss the jump because I've missed my timing. And I'm like, it's not.
Yeah, I have to keep.
It's not frequent, but it's enough to kind of, when it happens, just go, oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I have to keep an eye on that because I haven't noticed that myself. But now you say that, I'm intrigued to see if I just sort of missed it when it happened.
I mean, it happened quite a few times in a row to the point where I kind of looked at it, backed out of the game, and I looked at it and went, hang on, is this a Series X optimized game? Because I was genuinely a little bit confused as to how it was performing like that. But,
yeah. I think that what they've done, like upgrade-wise, has been decent, but like I say, it's not perfect. Like I say, some of the weird sort of stuff glitches I've had with it has been like, sort of, wow, okay, what happened there? But then most of the time it's a quick restart and it sort of gets rid of the issue. But I'm going to keep an eye on that though, what you say, and see if I can spot it if it does happen with me. But
yeah, I had a really weird one last night as well, where like the audio for the cutscenes was like about 1.5 seconds out of sync.
Yeah, I've had that. Yeah, very odd.
But despite shitting on it for a minute or two, it's genuinely really good fun. I'm enjoying it a lot. Like it's I think I'll be, like you guys when it's not quite as blisteringly hot outside. I'll probably stick it on again and warm the room up. But that's genuinely it. I think like I kind of have played that and nothing else. Apart from a little bit of Tetris Effect here and there, because Tetris Effect is the best version of Tetris, and Tetris is the best game of all time. But it's June, which means it's a busy week. We obviously recorded the last one just before the Sony State of Play, so I think it might actually be worth going into that one first and kind of move it out of the way, because it's sort of old news, but it opened up. I mean, they kind of said we're not going to have God of War there, we're not going to be have major announcements, but it opened up with Resident Evil 4 remake, and then there's Street Fighter 6, Final Fantasy 16, Resident Evil Village is coming to PSVR 2. There was a few more PSVR 2 games. No Man's Sky is coming to PSVR 2. Where are we? Stray, which is the cat game, is launching as part of PS Plus if you are on the premium tiers. Spider-Man and Miles Morales coming to PC. Roller Drome looks quite fun. Sort of roller skates and guns. The Callisto Protocol got a demo, sort of gameplay demo. And then there was Season, A Letter to the Future, which I thought looked very interesting. And then it sort of rounded out with Tunic coming to PlayStation, and a very strange dating game / action adventure called Eternites. So is there anything from there that caught your eye, Gary?
Oh, you can have all your Final Fantasies and your Street Fighters and your Resident Evils. For me, it's Stray. I've been sort of keeping an eye on this game for ages. That cyberpunk sort of cat world. It's very unique, but I think it looks so cool. And we finally got a date, right? It's like July the something like that.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's coming to the new PlayStation Plus, that's amazing because for those that are intrigued and are signing up for it, you can just dive straight in with it. I think this was a good show, to be honest. I find with Sony's state of play, sometimes they're a bit hit and miss. Obviously, you're never going to cater to every fan. Like some are more catered to others than, say, me or whoever. But there were some big announcements in here. Obviously, Resident Evil 4, that's going to be massive because the remakes are or have done well for Capcom. Street Fighter 6 finally got rid of that dreadful logo or whatever. Or was that announced here? Or was that announced at Summer Game Fest?
It was,
Either way,
it was at the State of Play.
Okay, but yeah, Resident Evil Village. There was a lot of Resi. Obviously, Capcom they know that they can shift units with Resi. It's very popular still, and yeah. So yeah, there was some good stuff here. But for me, I think Stray was the one that, because it's so different. You know what you're going to get with Resi, you know what you're going to get with Street Fighter, you know what you're going to get with Final Fantasy. So yeah, Stray for me. Oh, and Callisto. That's a hard one to say. The Callisto Protocol. That looks great. Very Dead Space. Obviously, the creators of Dead Space are doing it. So yeah. So that was a good show. That
cool. Aaron, what about yourself? Did you look at it and say that's me all over? I'm guessing was Street Fighter one that you kind of had a look at and thought, yeah, I'll have a bit of that.
The show was a bit State of Capcom, really, wasn't it? Like all the, I mean, at least for me, a lot of the big stuff was all them. Obviously, Resident Evil 4, as I said, I always say the best Resident Evil. I mean, fight me. So having that come back is great. I'm not sure I can't remember how much of it we saw. It's kind of blurring with the new stuff. Did we see? Did they show the exact same trailer? I'm not sure. But it on the whole, it looks quite dark. So it seems like it's getting the same treatment as 1, 2, and 3. They're kind of reimagining it quite a bit. But that looks good. Street Fighter 6, I've had mixed feelings on. I like the presentation of it, but everything we've seen so far looks kind of slow, and I'm unsure whether that's been done on purpose to display it, because they do that sometimes with fighting games, or if it's actually that slow. I know there's some gameplay pieces out there at the moment, but that still looks quite slow, even though it's a little bit quicker. So that was my kind of worry about that. I hope they speed that up eventually. But the presentation of it's amazing, and obviously everybody's quite happy with how it looks graphically, even though if I was to request personally, I would have preferred they went with the more Street Fighter Alpha like anime style for it. But this is good. I mean, at least it has a direction. What was the other thing?
I mean, just before you go to that, have you heard like some of the gameplay changes that they've made? They've sort of brought in like one touch or one button special moves. So like Ryu's Hadouken is going to, instead of having to do the quarter circle and then punch, you can just like tap the shoulder button now.
So as me as a purist, I'm like, what are you doing? But actually, because there's obviously been more information since then, I'm sure we'll come to it. It's not as bad as you initially think. So like you basically get like not access to the whole wall of what the character can do. Like, so because those buttons are taken up by those special moves, half of their normal buttons are actually taken away. So you're basically playing like half the character. So you are being punished for having the easy mode, basically. And like things like charge moves, you still have to charge. So even though like potentially a Sonic Boom could be forward and X, you still have to charge that. You're not going to be able to. Remember when Street Fighter 4 came out on the DS, and you could basically like walk forward in Sonic Boom, which was broken as fuck. You won't be able to do that. They've actually thought about how they're going to implement this easier scheme. I think basically what they want to happen is to get maybe people like yourself who are interested in like Street Fighter 2, but you feel like you don't have the execution or the time to learn the execution. At least you can come in, have fun, do cool stuff, and maybe you'll stay around and want to actually learn the proper way to do things. You can have the full-fledged experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's adding that layer of like approachability into it, where like I think that's, you just kind of pointed it out, is that for me, fighting games seem to be almost impenetrable sometimes. Like, if you're coming into a fighting game franchise new, like, Street Fighter 5, I touched it once or twice. I was like, oh yeah, cool, I can still do a Hadouken and and that's about it. But I didn't really touch it much after that. But I think, yeah, if you've got a slightly more approachable way of playing the game, then it might drag me in and have some mates over and play the easy mode for a little bit and do quite well there. And then after they've gone, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I could probably give this a go and then learn a little bit more, and it might keep me invested a little bit more rather than just getting smoked all the time.
Yeah, definitely. What else was there? Final Fantasy was a weird one for me because it kind of seemed like an action game. Like there was a lot of combo heavy stuff going on in that trailer, but the trailer itself looked epic as fuck. And then obviously if you look at the credits and you see who the combat designer is, you realize, oh, that's why it's all combo heavy and whatnot. Resident Evil Village I haven't actually played yet.
Okay.
I watched a bit of it. It looks like something I would play, but just haven't got around to it. You know me. I usually, these days I come to things a bit later. But other than that, I wasn't that interested in everything else. That's why for me it was like, oh, Capcom stuff.
Yeah.
What else was there? Tunic. I know you guys have been playing a bit of Tunic. I don't know.
I've not played it yet. I've not played it. I know Andy and Kieran have played it, and they kind of enjoyed it. But I think Andy said it's very, very difficult. Like, there's a big learning curve.
It's brutal, yeah.
Yeah. Have you played it much, Gary?
Only a little bit when it originally... Remember we had this discussion before on the podcast where it originally went on Xbox. I can't remember when it was, like last year at some point. And yeah, I thought it was all right. It didn't really sort of make me want to play more of it. Yeah, it was, but I like the art style and everything about it, but for me, I just didn't really find it that fun. Okay. And then when Andy said about it being like brutal, I was just like, yeah, I'm good. So yeah, and am I right in saying the reviews are sort of a bit mixed on it?
I think it seems like generally positive. I don't know whether that's kind of. I think because it came out. Did it come out before Elden Ring?
I believe so. Right.
It's like, yeah, I think there was some people sort of saying that they were used to the brutal nature of games from playing Elden Ring, and they kind of went, oh yeah, well, Tunic's a little bit more of that, and I don't know whether that was the case, but yeah. So are you not on board with Stray then, Aaron?
I mean, I don't know. It could be the best game ever. I don't know much. All I've seen is a cat walk around. I don't.
That's all you need to see, surely.
Like, I don't know what the objective of the game is. I don't know what, like,
be a cat.
There's not much for me to go off. Do you know what I mean? I see it fighting like little bots or something. Like it's an alien cat. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like
I need more.
It's like it's sort of like a cat set in like a cyberpunk sort of city, essentially.
Yeah.
It looks. Yeah, I think it looks cool because it's so unique. But we shall see if it's any good or not. Because sometimes the trailers make it look better than it is. But yeah, it looks good anyway.
Cool.
What else was there? There was the Horizon Call of the Mountain, the virtual reality stuff. Yeah. I need to see more on the actual technology of that, the actual hardware, before I get excited about anything.
Yeah, I mean, they put out. Yeah. I think they put out something like a little bit of like a tech sheet a while ago, and it's basically, I think they said it's almost like a full 4K screen per eye. With OLED panels, which is a good thing, and then it's going to have like eye tracking as well, so that'll be interesting. Like, if they can manage to get it so that like where you focus your eyes is where the whole focus will shift in the display, I think that's going to be an incredible piece of tech. And it's all going to be. I think they've said it's not. Well, it's obviously not going to be wireless, but it will connect using a single USB-C cable. So you're not going to need all of like the huge bundles of shit that came with the original. You just get a single USB-C, plug it into the front of the PS5, and away you go. So I'm intrigued by it. They didn't mention a release date, but the Walking Dead game said coming to PSVR 2, and then it said in 2022. So I don't know whether that was like a bit of a slip up from them, or whether it's coming to other platforms first and then PSVR 2. But yeah, I mean, if it's coming this year, then I've got 6 months to save up for the 500 quid or whatever it will inevitably cost. Because I think this one said that it's coming with all of the new tech, and it's coming with the controllers this time as opposed to a separate bundle. So could be.
I think there's a chance that they want it to come out this year, because it'd be perfect to have it just before like Christmas or the holidays, or whatever you want to call it. But part of me says it won't happen because of the whole chip issue and like just manufacturing chaos at the moment. I can sort of see it slip into like spring 2023. But I hope it does come out this year, because it's a perfect opportunity. And from what you're saying regarding the Walking Dead, is it the Walking Dead? Yeah, Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners. Maybe that they wasn't meant to put that at the end of the trailer, and it just sort of slipped through QA or whatever. So it's potentially coming this year. But yeah, like I say, chip shortage, it's going to be tough, right?
Yeah, I'd be surprised, but it'd be a pleasant surprise. So yeah, that was the state of play, and then less than a week later, we had the Summer Games Fest, or Summer Game Fest, I should say, which was a 2-hour showcase hosted by Jeff Keighley. And I'm not going to go through all of the games, because this podcast would be another hour long if we did that. But I mean, particular highlights for me, I think, as much as it's a bit of a cliche, like, it is always nice to see a big flashy graphics Call of Duty gameplay showcase. It's like, it's never gonna you're never gonna be able to recreate that in the game. Like, it will always be an inch perfect run that they take through it, but you can see during that they're basically going, here is all of our money on the screen. And those games look amazing. So that was one. Cuphead, the DLC, I thought was quite a nice thing to throw in.
Yeah.
Although it does feel like we've been waiting for that forever.
100%.
I mean,
they got announced so long ago as well.
Yeah, they confirmed that there is a Cuphead show season 2 before we've got the DLC. It's like in the time between releasing the game and your downloadable content, you have been able to announce and create a new TV show and confirm that there is going to be a series 2, which is a bit mad.
I love Cuphead, and I get that it takes a long time to develop those games, because obviously it's all hand drawn and stuff like that. But yeah, I can't remember exactly, but I think it's got announced, like, it's got to be 2 years ago, maybe.
Oh, easily
18 months ago, something like that.
Easily, yeah.
It looks amazing, but to be honest, I totally forgot all about it until they showed like the trailer at Game Fest, and I was like, oh yeah, forgot about that. So yeah, it looks great, but it's been a while waiting for that.
Yeah, Aaron, you Cuphead man?
No, but it's definitely something I would play. I love difficult games, and it looks gorgeous.
You'd love it, Aaron. It's good.
Yeah. On a side note, has anyone seen the cover of Edge magazine this month?
Amazing.
Oh, it's
best cover ever.
It's fucking beautiful. They've done like a big gatefold cover, and it's all like proper 50s retro artwork. Like, they've redesigned the logo. They've got because it's obviously Cuphead's the main story. And they've got Cuphead and Mugman, and then you fold out the gatefold, and it's just all of the enemies and stuff. It looks fucking beautiful. So yeah, fair play to the guys on getting that sorted. Other games that caught my eye, I think American Arcadia looked a bit interesting. I kind of remember watching that and just going, this seems like a Ben game. I mean, I know we sort of have a joke in our chat about an Andy game, which is basically like a Soulsborne. or something similar. But yeah, this is a game that kind of definitely piqued my interest.
Yeah, that I got to laugh. That game, that trailer, that is the one that basically ripped off Walt Disney Company without mentioning the Walt Disney Company.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because the character's name was like Walter something, and it was like, okay, and then they were talking about like basically sort of project of tomorrow, which is essentially Epcot, which is their theme park in
that's
Florida.
Right.
And the way it was presented as well is very Disney like. Yeah, it did make me laugh. I don't think they meant to do it, but it just seems a bit yeah, it looked alright though, but it's very close to having a call from Disney's lawyers, I think.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Then I mean the trailer of the night had to go to the game that Jeff Keighley hyped up as a long-awaited sequel. And then the trailer started up, and I was doing like a tweet along at the time from the NGB account, and I saw the opening frames of the trailer, and I went, "Holy shit! It's Dead Island 2." But it wasn't Dead Island 2. It was Goat Simulator 3. I mean, two things to say fair play to. The first one was for basically ripping off almost shot for shot that Dead Island 2 trailer. Because we were in the audience at E3 when that got announced. Can you remember, Gary?
Yeah.
I think that was 2014.
Damn, was it really?
Yeah, and I remember looking at it going, "Oh, this looks good." You know, obviously as good as it can do from a CG trailer, but then yeah, it kind of, they just started putting goats in everywhere, and I thought, this is just gold. But yeah, that was the best trailer of the night by a long way, but not a game I'm probably going to play. Let's be honest. I'm trying to find the name of it, but there was a game, because it's not in the article that I sent through to you guys. There was the game that was like, it was The Curious Tale of Benedict something or other.
Yeah, that looked really good. Yeah, actually, that was one of the games that stood out to me.
I can't remember what the game was called. Benedict game. I can't remember genuinely what it was called.
It's like the last something of Benedict.
The Last Case of Benedict Fox. Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one. That looked good. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the look of that game. So I think that's one that I'll be picking up for sure. All I remembered was it had the word Benedict in it. Because, like, I think literally 20 seconds before the title got announced, I know we were talking at the time, and Gary just went, "What's this? Like, you know, is it something meets Benedict Cumberbatch?" And then sure enough, it comes up, Benedict Fox. Well,
it does kind of look like they were like inspired by Doctor Strange a little bit. He's like giving away a piece of his soul or something to like get power. Or, I don't know if that's the story, but that's what it looked like.
Yeah, I think I said the Benedict Cumberbatch walking simulator or something.
That's the one. Yeah.
Can I just say one of the? I don't know what it is about this game, but I just don't get it. Like Gotham Knights, what has happened to that game? It just doesn't. Every person I've seen talk about this game just isn't feeling it. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't look good at all.
I'm intrigued by it. Like it's not fully grabbed.
I am, yet. But
it's kind of, what is it? Like, is it? I know it's sort of like a co-op brawler, but like how does it?
It's just
work?
Like it's got some weird sort of like, you can like float in the sky and stuff like that, and like the menu system looks. Yeah, the menu system looks like something from a 2001 Dreamcast game. It just doesn't look good, I don't think. Yeah, I'm not feeling that at all, to be honest. But
fair enough. I mean, I'm kind of, yeah, I'm skeptical about it. I'll say that much. There was another one that really caught my eye because it was introduced as being done by one person, and that was Midnight Fight Express.
Yeah,
that game looked really good, like as sort of a high budget indie title. But when you find out, oh, it's been done by one bloke, you're like, bloody hell! I was
crazy.
Really impressed with that. Was there anything else that sort of caught your eyes before I start taking over the whole thing? Aaron, what about yourself?
So the things that could potentially be really good. So like, I want to believe that Stormgate might turn into something good. Like, we need more RTS games. Like, that's a genre that needs to come back into popularity in some way, shape, or form. The problem is, it was just a full-blown CGI trailer, so we have no real idea what the hell's going on there. So there's hope there, but I don't know. Routine looked like, again, another really, really well-crafted trailer. But what's the gameplay like? You've got me interested, you've got my attention, but I need to see now what I'd actually be doing in the game. So another one where there's a desire for it to be good, but you never know with these games these days. Funnily enough, the Flashback 2.
Yep.
And that's just because of nostalgia. I remember playing this with my best friend in school when I was like 6 years old. Was it on the Mega Drive? I feel like it was on the Mega Drive. Maybe, I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's probably around that area.
Yeah. So I'm just curious what they're going to do with it. I remember that game being disgustingly difficult as a child, but maybe that's just me nostalgiaing it up. Obviously, I'm interested in Street Fighter 6. Again, we've covered it a little bit, but like the new character designs look absolutely amazing. Hopefully, they translate well into this more slightly realistic engine approach that they're going for. I'm trying to think of anything else. I'm not sure what Midnight Suns is. Does anybody know? Like, what type of game it is?
They did.
Like, we got that kind of cool CGI trailer, but it was like, what kind of game is this? I'm not sure.
Did do a gameplay reveal not long ago, but I'll be brutally honest, and I missed it. It seems. I want to say it almost seems a little bit XCOM-y.
Gotcha.
I will probably walk that back when I go and watch the gameplay trailer, but I think that it seems like that kind of a game.
Okay, that could work. And what else was there?
The Aliens game, actually, was it Aliens Dark Descent? That that was obviously, again, very big CG trailer, but then when they actually showed a snippet of gameplay, that to me screamed XCOM, and I was like, oh, this has my interest.
Yeah, that surprised me, because the way the sort of trailer started, it made it look like a first-person shooter or like a third-person action sort of game, and then it just right at the end they put like 10 seconds of like sort of isometric sort of shooting in. I was like, where did that come from? I didn't expect that. Looks good though, but yeah, I sort of, it sort of threw me a bit because I was expecting like this sort of epic sort of shooter, and it turned out to be like a isometric sort of shooter instead. So
let's look at now, and what else was there? I mean, obviously TMNT Shredder's Revenge, that is out on Game Pass now. So get on that because it's getting great reviews. And the other thing, before we come to the obvious closer, the Saints Row boss factory is quite a lot of fun for like customization and making your own Saints Row boss. But the one that like I'd sort of seen a little bit about, and then it kind of came out of nowhere with its gameplay reveal, was Metal Hellsinger, which, I mean, there is a free demo available. I'll put some gameplay up on the YouTube channel. It's great fun. It's like basically Doom meets Crypt of the Necrodancer. You kind of have to go around hell and shoot and stab demons in time to a massive like heavy metal soundtrack. And if you do it all sort of on the beat and everything, your score just racks up. And then when you hit, I think it's 16 times in the multiplayer, when you hit that level, the vocals kick in on the music. So it's like you kind of have this
cool.
huge like throbbing metal soundtrack going all the way through it, and then you sort of stab a demon and these vocals kick in, and it's just like, oh, this is fucking cool.
Yeah, I'm just watching it now. You can definitely see that Doom inspiration, but yeah, it looks good fun actually.
Yeah, it's worth checking out the demo for sure.
Nice.
But we were surprised by everything that happened in the last 10 minutes of that show, because nothing leaked. Definitely not.
Amazing.
I think it was, what, 2 or 3 hours before the show? Yeah, Sony leaked on their own store, so you can't even blame anybody else. The Last of Us Part 1 is coming to PS5 in September?
Yes. 2nd of September, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, like full-on remake, not another remaster. Like, it is a full-on remake of The Last of Us. I think there were some differing opinions in the in our group chat about it. I think it's probably safe to say where Gary's gonna fall on this one, looking over his shoulder there. But yeah, I mean, like, Aaron, what are your thoughts on The Last of Us Part 1? Is it too early? Is it the right thing to do, or what do you reckon?
I personally don't mind, because I skipped all the remasters because those were too early for me.
Right.
So if you want to, as long as it's, I can see you've put the effort in, and it's not just a straight like out and out cash grab. I don't mind. Like the game the game came out a while ago. Was it a PS2 game? Wasn't it?
PS3, so 9 years.
PS3. Yeah,
2013. Yeah,
it's been a while, so I'm not fussed. I'll take it. As I said, I skipped the other remaster, so I'll take a full remake. For me, it's like it's like going back and seeing an old friend after 9 years. So I can understand if people have played the numerous remasters and then you're like, really, again? Why not just make another game? I can understand that point of view, but for me, I don't have that perspective, so I can't.
Fair enough. I mean, Gary, I know you're sort of all in, aren't you?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, I don't really understand people that come out and say, why are they doing it? Like, if you don't want to play it, you don't have to. No one's forcing you to. And Neil Druckmann even mentioned it in his presentation. He said, our vision is sort of, when we first made the game on PS3, it was restricted by the hardware.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously now they've got the sort of power of the PS5, so we've seen the improvements to facial animations and just looks and general details. So they obviously know that they can push what they wanted to push more now because of the hardware behind it. My only slight issue with it is the price. I don't believe it should be a full price game, but I can sort of understand it at the same time, because obviously they've only shown us snippets, right? We don't know much about the gameplay side of it, so we don't know how much they've put into it. If they put quite a bit, then I can sort of say, okay, the £70 or £60-70 price tag is sort of valid, but I can sort of see why there are people out there saying that it shouldn't be a full price game, if that makes sense. But I'm sure over the next sort of coming weeks and months, we will see what they've done to the sort of remake to justify that, hopefully. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I'm well in with this. Last of Us is still one of my favourite games of all time, and to play it again, all sort of souped up and nice looking on a PS5, yeah, give it to me now.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that sequence in the basement with the bloater. I'll just say that much. Like, that shit me up when I played it on PS3, and it's probably going to do the same again. But no,
would you say that's worse than the Rat King?
Yes, because I think you kind of expected the Rat King to happen. I mean, that was really tense, but there's not a huge amount that compares to that initial kind of everything's pitch black in the basement. You're in knee high water, and it's like, oh no, I'm not liking this. Or, but like, yeah, I'm sort of, I'm sort of in the same boat. Like, I can't really see an issue with it. I think 9 years and 2 console generations is a good enough time to flick a switch on it and say, look what we can do now. I think ultimately, like, you've got to look at the trailers the trailer that they put out, and I think Digital Foundry did an amazing comparison video on the two, and looked at, like, this is what it was like on PS3, this is what it was like on PS4, and now on PS5, and like, just you kind of look at it, and you always have that thing, don't you, when you see a remastered game or a remade game, you look at it and you go, but that's how I remember it looking anyway. And then you see the difference, and you go like, holy shit. So yeah, I think it will be on my list. I think I did say at the time, like, I'm not 100% sure, but I can't imagine that I'll pass up on it, to be honest with you. But that was it for the Summer Game Fest. I think it was a fairly decent show. I think the only thing that you could really complain about was, that people wanted quote unquote megatons, but they didn't really get them. I think the industry's still kind of finding its feet again after the pandemic, and obviously with E3 going the way of the dodo, it's like they don't really know what to do at what point. Like, I think they've said that next year Summer Game Fest is going to be an in-person show and an online one, a bit like E3. So is that basically going to take the mantle and run with it? I know the ESA have said that they're going to be trying to do their own, or they're trying to do E3 again next year, but just face it, that it's dead. But yeah, interesting one. I liked it quite a lot. I think it's always fun to see reactions to stuff that Jeff Keighley does, because I remember reading a story about the first Game Awards that they did, and a lot of people slagged it off and said, oh, there's too many adverts, there's too many sponsored placements and stuff like that. But then you read into it, and like, he stumped up the money for that out of his own pocket. Like, he didn't go out there and get a sponsorship to do it. He put the money up and then went, right, might need to make some of this back. So
I will say, I don't understand what The Rock was doing sliding into that.
Oh, that was weird.
That was so odd.
And like, I thought, oh wait, is The Rock going to be in a game or something? And then he came on and started advertising his damn energy drink. I'm like, what? Yeah, what's going on here?
You know what? I'd completely forgotten about that. I'd blocked it out of my mind.
Yeah, that was so weird. Like, it just didn't sit well. It was just such a random place for him to just
well, he's coming to Fortnite
with an energy drink. And...
Oh, is it?
Yeah, he's coming to Fortnite. So maybe
he was waffling.
I was going to say, should he have mentioned that, other than just kind of enjoy your gaming?
Yeah, I like Dwayne Johnson. I think he's a cool dude, but he was waffling at one point, and it was just like, yeah, we get to the point. Like,
yeah,
so weird.
But yeah, so no, yeah, solid show, I think, from Keighley. I think it's an interesting time for game events, and I think they he managed to strike the balance quite well. There was the Future Game Show next, but I'll be brutally honest, I don't think any of us have seen all of the videos from that, or indeed if any. So I'm just going to rattle through a couple here that caught my eye. Outpost, which looked a bit interesting. It's kind of it looked like a tower defense game that was in first person. So you kind of build up your base, and then you hit go kind of thing, and then you have to defend against swarms. I was like, oh, that's quite cool, because you run around in first person and control stuff that way. Nightingale looks I mean, it's a survival game, so it's not my kind of thing, but it looked really pretty. That's coming early access this year. What else? There was Turbo Golf Racing, which is basically Rocket League with golf balls. I'll play that.
Nice.
Where was it? Enemy of the State looks very interesting. It kind of, it's a bit secretive, but it looks like a sort of, sort of, again, semi-isometric on the first glance anyway, like semi-isometric game, and it might be one that will appeal to a few folks. Sorry, there's a motorbike outside. And where was the last one that I was looking at? F1 Manager 2022 is one that I'm particularly intrigued by. Like, I think the side of like Football Manager and spreadsheets, kind of, there's something that just scratches an itch for me, and I'm like, I've got a curiosity about Formula One, so I think that might pull me in a little bit. Was there anything from the list that you guys looked at and saw and thought, yeah, I'll give that a go?
I'm with you on F1. I mean, if the actual sport can't entertain me with their dead races and everybody failing, then I'll entertain myself. How about that?
I'll tell you what, if it's got multiplayer, should we do a Drive to Survive Ben versus Aaron stream?
But yeah, I didn't, as you said, I didn't watch this one, so I don't know what was displayed there. But other than F1, like, I can't see anything that stands out just by looking at it. So I don't know, Gary.
That turbo golf racing sounds interesting because Rocket League's very fun. So sort of having it with golf balls could potentially be a hell lot of fun.
Yes.
Tray races. Is it tray races?
Tray races. Good pun.
Yeah. That's interesting. Trying to jump on the Mario Kart sort of genre. I didn't really. There was nothing that really stood out per se, like sort of a must buy day one. But yeah, like I say, there's a couple. Like you say, Enemy of the State looks interesting. And that's coming to Xbox Series X as well. So there was a few that I want to play, but nothing that really sort of stood out. And also Lost in Play as well. Looks interesting.
Yeah, I saw that. That was quite good.
I like the art style. So
yeah, there was one game as well that it kind of got announced after the Summer Game Fest, so it obviously wasn't part of the show, but it looked better than most things that were on there, and that was The Plucky Squire. Which, I mean, it started off in like a storybook, and then you kind of get to the end of the storybook and it goes into a full 3D world, and I'm like, okay, this has my interest. I'm going to give this a go. I mean, what was I know you were particularly taken with that one as well, Gary.
It looks incredible. It sort of reminds me of a mixture of Toy Story and It Takes Two, sort of blended into one. Yeah. And I just love how it sort of goes from that sort of flat sort of side scroll, and then all of a sudden it just jumps into like this amazing looking world. Very cool. When I first see this trailer, I was like, okay, this looks interesting, and then all of a sudden it sort of jumped into that sort of 3D space. Yeah, and I was like, wow, that is really, really cool. I'm super excited for this. This is one of the standouts for me over the sort of across all of the shows or whatever. I can't wait to check this out. It looks very, very good.
Definitely. Did you see that one as well, Aaron?
No, I didn't.
Okay, yeah, it's the storybook style. It kind of very much reminds me of like Link Between Worlds or Link to the Past. And then you sort of get to the end of that, and then the character just sort of turns 3D, climbs out of the book onto the desk, and you're like, oh, okay, so this is going to be a thing now.
So cool.
So, I'm super intrigued by that. But I can sense we are getting a little bit warm. So we'll move on to Sunday's stream, which was the Xbox and Bethesda showcase, which opened with Redfall. Did this trailer do enough to kind of sell you on the game, Aaron?
I'm going to be honest about that whole conference. Nothing in there screamed, "Hey, come and join Game Pass." It was really like the whole thing was like, it was either old games coming, which is fine, like great, but I don't expect that at your main showing.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was DLC for old games, and the one or two games that I may have been excited for, they kind of focused on the wrong thing. So like it was like Forza Motorsport, obviously because I've recently been like Orange GT7. I was like, oh, okay, Forza want to jump on the bandwagon too. Like we can actually have a proper like competitive driving game instead of it, because they've progressively been going down the kind of like casual route Forza over the past 3 titles. So I thought, okay, cool, they're coming back to the more competitive side. The problem is they focused on things that weren't relevant to the kind of people who would play that game. And so it was kind of like weather. Okay, great. GT has weather. You want weather? That's fine. But spend 30 seconds on it and actually talk about like maybe the handling of the cars. They talked about they're bringing the new tire models and stuff, but they didn't go into any detail of how that will interact with the track, or how that will potentially interact with the weather changes on the track. It was just very, hey, look at our pretty game, and that was kind of disappointing. In terms of Redfall, no, it just didn't scream at me, to be fair.
It's Left 4 Dead with vampires.
Yeah.
It looks brutal, though.
Yeah, it looked quite violent. Kind of saw it, I thought, okay, yeah, I'll give that a go. I think this is the thing, right? I saw a lot of these games. I was like, yeah, I'll give that a go, because I don't think there was a single game. The DLC is a separate thing. Like the Forza Horizon 5's DLC isn't coming to Game Pass, but everything else in this showcase like had a thing at the end of it saying like coming to Game Pass, or like play day one with Game Pass. So I'll counter the argument there of like it didn't convince you about Game Pass. I think this was probably the better argument for Game Pass.
So what I meant is, like, for something like this, which is supposed to be like an E3 replacement, I was expecting new stuff. And what I got was, I'm just trying to sell you Game Pass, and I get it. Like, I get it that like you're probably making quite a bit of money off Game Pass, and you want to re-up and make sure everybody's. But there was like the whole thing was about that. Like there was no, here you go, here's the really exciting new stuff, which is basically what I was asking for when we asked what we wanted to see. And I didn't get any of that, and it's a little disappointing to me.
Yeah.
So, but I understand that they need to push the Game Pass angle, but like, don't forget there are people outside of that audience that maybe want new stuff. Like there's plenty of like super hardcore gamers that have probably played a lot of the stuff you're re-advertising.
I think the other thing as well that was I think the other thing as well that was quite interesting is they said like, we're not going heavy on CG trailers. Like this is all stuff that you're going to be able to play in the next 12 months. And I think that was a good move, because like there's obviously been a lot of talk about, you know, certain games in the past where a CG trailer's come out and it's, you know, the game's come out, it's not as good as it looked initially and stuff like that. Whereas all of this was like, here is gameplay, here is when you can play it, or you will be able to play this in the next 12 months, which I think I'm all for that, because I hate these ridiculously long lead ups to games where like a game will get announced and then it goes dark for like 3 years and then it comes back. You go like, oh, I remember that. It's like, just put it out there. Like what Capcom did with Resi 4. Like, we know it's coming. There's been heavy rumors for ages, but when they finally revealed it, they went, right, here's the game, here's when it's out, go fucking buy it. End of discussion. Like, I really like that short ramp up. But it seems that some of them are going the other way.
I feel like there was a few too many like games that seem like, again, I'm not entirely sure, but they seem like they started off with the Riot Games games. And so basically what's going to happen there, you're going to sign into Game Pass to play an already free to play game, which is going to require you to sign into their system So you're going to sign into Game Pass to sign into Riot Games to play a game that you could just play anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a little bit too much of that.
Yeah, I think the Riot thing was more that it's going to have all of the characters available in all of the games, which I don't play League, I don't play Valorant, so I don't know how big a deal that is. But
Yeah.
some people were kind of going around saying, "Oh no, that's a pretty big deal. Like if you're a Game Pass subscriber, you now get access to all of the characters in League and Valorant." So I don't know. But yeah, just kind of blitzing through this one. Hollow Knight Silk Song. No release date, but it will be available on Game Pass day one. I know Andy is very excited about that one. High on Life was a new game from Justin Roiland.
Yeah, that looked interesting.
Yeah. So I had this issue with what was it? Was it Trover Saves the World? I think was the last game that studio put out. Justin Roiland's stuff, like, I like it, but he needs to learn to do another voice. Because everything that he does is kind of the Morty voice, like, oh geez, Rick, all that, and it's like that is in every one of the games. It's kind of the same joke over and over again. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
cool, like I enjoy it, it's fine, but yeah, anyway, might have just been me. Where are we? Right, we've covered Plague Tale Requiem. That's coming in 2022, and it looked pretty nice. Again,
yeah, it looked beautiful. That
was that a CG trailer? Can't...
No, it had gameplay in it, if I remember rightly.
I still need to finish Innocence.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, that's probably my next game after Fallen Order. Then. We said about Forza Motorsport revealed. It looked fucking amazing, but like Aaron said, it probably would have potentially been a little bit nicer to see some more stuff about cars.
Yeah,
not rocks and grass.
Water. They spent like 20 seconds at the end, like streaming past the water. I get it. It looks nice. Don't get me wrong, but I was we came here for the cars, Like
the issue I have with a lot of that sort of presentation is the fact is you're not going to see most of that when you're racing past at like 100 mile an hour. Like it's not really needed to be focused on that much. But it's nice that it looks nice, but I want to see pure sort of unedited gameplay of it running on an Series X or whatever, or PC.
It kind of felt like it was intended as a little jab at like GT7 because it's getting a lot of flack for like looking a little bit last gen in terms of its backgrounds, like, and its flat trees and whatnot. So it just kind of felt like you were more worried about taking jabs at the opposition game than displaying the wonders of your game.
Yeah,
it's really odd though because Forza Horizon did that with 5 when they announced that they were showing like the rocks and like the sky and the clouds and stuff like that. It's like they have a weird obsession with showing off like the environments more than they do the actual game itself. It's very odd, but yeah, it looked incredible. But show us proper gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just been quickly scrolling through some of the stuff in here. Like there was quite a lot in there. I think it was this was a 2 and a bit hour showcase, so plenty of games. Some new Elder Scrolls Online DLC. Overwatch 2 is coming, and it's going to be free to play. Ara History Untold basically looks like Civ from the Ashes of the Singularity developer. I thought that looked quite good. Where are we? Fallout 76 is getting more DLC. Why? Forza Horizon 5 is getting the Hot Wheels DLC. Flight Simulator is getting, or has now got, the Pelican from Halo in there. It's also getting some classic planes or classic aircraft from history. And then the trailer that really shocked me was Arc 2. Like it kind of started with dinosaurs and stuff, and I was going like, oh, okay, yeah, this is probably Arc 2, isn't it? And then it panned across, and I was like, holy shit, is that Vin Diesel? Because I missed that announcement. It's like, oh, cool, it is.
Yeah, because in our chat, obviously, we spoke about that, and I remember it got announced. I can't even remember when it was. It was
a little while ago now, yeah.
6 months ago or something, and I remember it had Vin Diesel in it. And I was sort of shocked that everyone sort of didn't sort of realise it was Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
And it's like, out of nowhere, he just pops up on a top of a whatever it was. Yeah, very strange.
Yeah, absolutely. Scorn looked very disgusting, so I shan't be playing that one. There was Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn. I think that was one where I started to wane a little bit in the in my interest in the conference.
The animation on that looked really janky, to be fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looked like you're gonna do this kind of, I don't know. Is it meant to be more of a Dark Soulsy type game, or is it meant to be more of an action type game? Either way, the animations didn't look up to par. So
yeah,
I don't know how far away it is.
Absolutely,
early 2023 apparently, but yeah.
Yeah, it did seem a little bit. Then we've got Minecraft Legends, which is kind of an RTS Minecraft game. Lightyear Frontier, which is basically Titanfall cross Harvest Moon, or No Man's Sky cross Harvest Moon, whichever way you want to look at that one. Gunfire Reborn. That was the one with all the cats in it, I think, and the anime cats.
Yeah.
The Last Case of Benedict Fox was in this show, not the Summer Game Fest show, so I got my wires crossed on that one.
Okay.
And this is the best thing that came out of that show, as far as I'm concerned. He looks pretty damn good.
There we go.
Yeah.
Kudos to the graphical and artistic style on this, guys.
I was quite taken with the next one that's coming up, which was As Dusk Falls. That was like the sort of paintings moving the art style. I was like, that looks really, really nice. So yeah, it's kind of a playable drama story rather than a full-on regular game, I guess.
I see something funny on the internet. Someone put, they really need to sort out the frame rate. It's only running at like two frames per second. But that looked great, though.
Yeah, I'm all in for that. And again, coming to Game Pass. Grounded is leaving game preview in September. We've played that a couple of times, and that's a lot of fun. Diablo 4 is getting a Necromancer class. Are you a Diablo fan, Aaron? I don't know if you. I didn't know if you.
I wouldn't call myself a fan, but I play them. The trailer looks. In fact, the game looks amazing. But obviously, it needs to, with their balancing of Immortal that's out and that's being completely destroyed at the moment. So they're probably like thankful to like divert attention and like, hey, look, here's the actual real Diablo. Play it. Yeah. But the trailer looks really good. I want to see more, basically.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. The best song for the conference was definitely went to Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, that was funny.
Who announced their Captaincy DLC. So yeah, you can now be a pirate captain. You can name your ships. You can save ship loadouts, which is great because I think that's one of the most irritating things when you get your ship looking just how you want, and then you go offline and you come back on and you're met with the same fucking bland boat as you normally get when you go back to it. So yeah, I'll be every time I see something new for Sea of Thieves, I look at it and go, I should play Sea of Thieves again. Because
and you don't, because
that's great.
Well, I do for like 2 weeks, and then something else happens. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about Sea of Thieves until something new happens. Yeah. But yeah, I love Sea of Thieves. It is such a fun video game.
It really is.
Absolutely. There were a few more announcements, including Persona 3, 4, and 5 coming to Game Pass, which I know there's a few happy people in that one. And then the last two announcements of the evening. The first one was, again, heavily rumoured, but Big Phil introducing Hideo Kojima. And Hideo sort of said, hello, I'm working on a new video game. It's not going to be out for quite a while, and it's using the cloud. Bye!
Yeah. That was a bit weird, that, I found. it could have been a blog post. Let's be honest.
I mean,
it just seemed a bit.
I'll say it could have been, but when you've got a name like that working on your titles,
yeah,
you want to get
it,
headlines, don't you?
Yeah, I get it, but it's just a bit awkward. Yeah.
So yeah, interesting one. There is a heavy rumor that he's working on a horror game, but we shall see. There are also heavy rumors that he's also working on Death Stranding too. So,
oh, don't do it!
I forgot you're not a fan of Death Stranding.
Oh, the funny thing is, like, I think Kojima's a god, but I honestly, legit think he's taking the piss with this. I honestly think he's like, "Here you go, dickheads. You'll play anything. I'll put out. Play that."
Yeah.
Like, it really does feel like that. I'm like, "What are you doing, mate?" I think he needs to separate himself from that game altogether and give us. If he's making a horror game, great. I probably won't. I'm not really that into horror. Like, I'll give it a try, but at least it will be a proper Kojima experience. I don't know. I just don't feel like he put his heart and soul into Death Stranding. That's just me. It's my view. It's a kind of a yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed Death Stranding.
See, I quite enjoyed it, but I can also see why people wouldn't enjoy it. It's one of them. It's such a weird game, like. So yeah, I get what Aaron's saying, but at the same time, it's weirdly I enjoyed it. So yeah,
100%. I'm not going to sit here and like demand that everybody loves Death Stranding because, like, you know, everyone's got their own opinions on it. But personally, I really enjoyed it. It sort of came along. It came along at the right time. I think I played it and I invested myself into it, and yeah, that's.
Would you play it again?
I do go back to it occasionally. I've not started it from the beginning. But I have gone back to it.
Would you full play it? So the way I look at Kojima games, like, you can come back to them all the time. They're always great. Like, you come back and it's just as great as it was the first time. Does Death Stranding do that for you?
I think it does when I go back to it. Like, I will continue to play it and enjoy it, but I haven't felt the pull to start the game fresh.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
as I said, for me, it feels like a social experiment. It feels like it doesn't feel like a game. It feels like he wanted to prove a point.
Yeah.
What that point was, I don't know, but like.
You see, I think the thing is as well, I had a very different experience playing that game for the first time than everybody else, because when I got the game, it was in the review period, so there weren't thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people playing it. You know, there was a relatively small number. So you had a lot of people that were experimenting with what they could do in a short space of time to get as much content done as they could before the review came out. So yeah, my first experience with that game is it's quite unique, but at the same time, like, I fully understand like that some people will come to this game like a bit later on, and they'll go into a world that's fully populated with everybody else's shit everywhere. Whereas when I first played it, like, it was quite a barren land, and you know, there was a few things here and there. Yeah, strange game, strange experience, but we're not talking about that. Let's talk about Starfield, which will close us out. Visually, I think it looked very impressive. Technically, I think there's still some work to do. And this is probably going to be heresy to a lot of people, but I will play it because it's on Game Pass.
Fair.
That's about it. Yeah. Like, I've never got on with Bethesda games. I've never gotten on with Bethesda RPGs. I play them for like an hour or two, and then I just let them drift away. So if this grabs me, great, but I'm not dropping 70 quid on it, but I've got it on Game Pass, so I'll play it. I think, Gary, you were with me on the technical stuff.
The frame rate was rough. That was like really bad. I'm sure at one point it dropped to like 20 frames per second. It was it was quite jarring because it was the first thing I noticed, which it shouldn't be the first thing you notice. It should be how visually stunning it looks. But the first thing I noticed was the bad side of it, which was the frame rate. yeah, apart from that, graphics and that, it looked really nice. And I'm intrigued by like you can go to all these different planets and you can create your own ship and modify your own ship, etc., etc. But yeah, because of the technical side of it, that is that sort of lasting impression I've had of it from that show. It was, which it shouldn't be. It should be all about the spectacle of the game itself and what it is and what it does. But yeah, I will play it because it's on Game Pass. But yeah, technical side of it was pretty rough, to be honest. And I'm surprised they actually put that out there. I would have thought someone at Xbox would have gone, right, we need to sort of tidy this up a bit because it's not a good look. But there we go. Maybe they just haven't got anything else to show, like without that sort of technical issue in it. So yeah.
Aaron, what was your initial takeaway of the Starfield reveal?
Oh, I understand your trepidation. Like Bethesda games have a stigma that comes along with them. And to be fair, this trailer didn't really attempt to offset that, as Gary said. It is a bit worrying that they thought it was okay to release that trailer as choppy as it was. I don't know if they thought like, hey, yeah, you console peons, you ain't gonna notice anyway, but people notice, man. Come on, we're not in like 2015 anymore. Yeah, so that was a bit worrying, but I think the gameplay loop will be decent. I was a little bit disappointed when they confirmed that you won't actually be able to like land your ship on the actual planets. Out of like something like Star Citizen. I don't know if any of you have seen like anything pertaining to that, but that game looks ridiculous. I know it's still in alpha or whatever, but they've kind of nailed that. So I thought maybe Bethesda, they like to try and push the technology. I thought they'd try it too. So I was a little disappointed on that. But the idea of being able to explore 1,000 planets sounds ridiculous. Whether they'll be able to actually uphold that statement is another question.
Yeah.
How would you even go about fully exploring 1,000 planets? I know some of them won't be large, but some of them will be. That would take an eternity. So what is it? You're going to have fast travel points? But then doesn't that defeat the purpose because people miss things? Like, it'd be interesting to see how they're going to go about it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because like they've kind of said that the 1,000 planets thing, some of the planets or some of the areas of the planets will be procedurally generated, some of them will be handcrafted. It's like, okay, cool. So that comment about like not being able to land your ship, that threw me a little bit as well, because I'm sat there thinking, well, if you want to explore an entire planet, is the whole point of that not, well, I'm going to fly to this particular point on the planet and drop down and then take off and then go a little bit further around it and drop down somewhere else? But how is that going to work? Are you just going to have like specified drop zones on the planet and then, you'll have to land and then try like explore on land for a while? Like, how is it going to work? I don't know. It's
Maybe interesting.
Very interesting indeed.
I kind of think like gaming has a PR problem at the moment in that they like to, because obviously how your game is perceived is everything these days, so they kind of oversell things a little bit, and then we're always kind of like disappointed with the product because you've hyped us up for something that you knew you couldn't supply. So I hope I'm wrong, but yeah, it'll be interesting.
Absolutely. So yeah, that was the not E3 week. It was, there's still loads of stuff that's been announced that we've not had a chance to cover. My inbox exploded over the past 3 days. So before the state of play, I cleared my inbox out and I've read a ton of emails since, like, I've kept up with it as much as I possibly could. And currently, right now, I have like 500 plus emails from the past 6 days that I have not read.
Damn.
So there is a lot of stuff that's been announced over the past couple of weeks. And hopefully, there might be someone's favorite next game in there, or next favorite game in there. So
there was that I've just seen it now.
Yeah, there was.
I completely forgot that was shown. That looks amazing, actually. To be fair,
yeah, it looked a little bit like Neo, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. I actually thought it was Neo at first. I was like, okay, and then yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a decent spot to wrap up. There was a couple of other news stories that we were going to talk about, but we have been going for nearly an hour and a half now. So we're going to wrap up for the week, say our goodbyes, and say that we will see you in 2 weeks' time once again for another episode of the Next Gen Basecast. I'm going to say thank you very much to Mr. Aaron Sullivan for joining me, as always.
No problem, sir.
And thank you for Mr. Gary Clark.
My pleasure, sir. Always good sitting down with you guys and chatting some video games. So.
Absolutely. And we will see you in 2 weeks' time. Bye.